Hi everyone, and welcome to the finale part of Cardfight Vanguard tutorials. I am Revolution 91156.
I'm Ganondorf 1268.
In this episode, we are going to go over the rules again, but while playing the match. We will go over each step by step for the first couple uh, parts. I mean turns, and then we'll go and then we'll go over anything new as the match progresses. Anyways, you first start off by choosing a grade 0 and placing it face down in the Vanguard circle. That is your starting Vanguard. Next,
There are some Vanguards, some grade zeros you choose over others for certain abilities and things, and that's how I normally do it. I always use this grade 0 as my starting Vanguard.
That's all depending on the deck.
It's depending on the deck. Some of them, their decks made where you have a specific grade 0, and then, yeah.
Next, you shuffle your deck, and now you can shuffle it yourself by shuffling it normally, doing the 7-7 split. Japanese style is where you go like this, or the other way is the way we're going to do it, is where you have your opponent shuffle your deck to be sure that no one cheats. So in this video, we're gonna shuffle each other's decks. Also, while we're shuffling each other's decks, I want to know that there will be an annotation at the end of this video showing showing as a link to our new combined channel, Team Cardfight. Don't ask about the name. We just want to make something simple and nothing to where because there might be some people that might join. So we wanted to keep it as simple and open as possible. We were gonna have it as
Team Vanguard,
but that was taken by someone else. So now that the decks are shuffled,
draw a starting hand of 5 cards.
okay, now if you have a bad hand to start, you could take any number of cards from your hand and add it to your deck, but you also want to be sure that you have grades 1 through 3. I also recommend on triggers being put back in the deck also. Then you draw that same number of cards. Also, when you shuffle your deck in the battle and that, you also have the opportunity on having your opponent cut the deck. What that means is that you go and split the deck in half, or threes, whatever you decide, and then and as you saw, I dropped 3 cards, so I draw 3.
I only dropped 1, so I draw 1.
Now, normally we use the dice, but this time, you can use multiple ways of deciding which one. You could take the top card of your deck and call a grade. You could play Rochambeau, rock paper scissors. You could roll dice, flip a coin, whatever. But in this case, we'll do Rochambeau, rock paper scissors shoot. So then the winner always goes first. Stand up, Vanguard.
Don't
And
have to say that.
you don't have to say it, but it's a good thing to say. Now, since you start.
Okay, I start, so I draw. My Vanguard has a skill. I look at the top 5 cards of my deck. And I look for Goddess of the Crescent Moon Tsukuyomi, which is right here. And I Superior Ride.
Also explain the ride part.
So, so this ability, what it does is I take the top 5 cards of my deck and I look for this card, and that's what's called a Superior Ride. Now I can't ride anything else this turn. This is the only ride I get. The rest of those go down here. I'm going to end my turn. I cannot attack because I went first.
Okay. I go, so I stand and draw. Since I'm starting, I don't do any standing. But now, what you do now, if you don't have that skill, you do something called a ride. You can only ride once per turn, unless by a special ability, and you can only ride one grade higher. One grade higher or equal to than the grade of your opponent.
No, the grade of your Vanguard.
Vanguard, that's what I meant. So I ride Little Liberator Marin. My grade 0 Vanguard has a special ability. When it gets ridden by a gold paladin, or the same, or for this case, this is gold paladin. But if you ride anything of the same clan, it's called a Forerunner, and you get to move it back. Now, actually, I call it here. Now you can call any number of units equal to or less than your Vanguard. So I call Future Liberator Lou. Now, since I go second, I can attack by turning your rear guards can give support to the back row. Rear guards can give support to any cards that are in the front row. So by turning this sideways, by turning Lou sideways, it gives support to Marin. Now grade ones and zeros have a thing called boost. It shows an arrow showing for boosting. That lends its support. Only grade 1s and 0s have it. Next, some cards have an ability. Like Marin has an ability that when it attacks, I have a Liberator as a Vanguard. Oh, sorry, that's only for rear guards. But the Lou's ability is that if I have 3 or more rear guards with Liberator, other rear guards with Liberator, it would get a 4K boost. But unfortunately, I only have one other rear guard with Liberator, so I can't. Now, if Marin was in the rear guard, and it's attacking a Vanguard, it would gain an extra 3K until the end of battle. So after the add up, my Vanguard will be attacking his Vanguard for 13,000.
This is when I get the chance to guard all grades except for grade 3. Yeah, that's right. All the grades except for grade 3 have some type of a defense. For instance, grade 1s have 5,000. Some have 10. I am guarding with 2. That's 10,000. That's 17,000.
Now, since my Vanguard is attacking, I do what's called a drive check. You take the top card of your deck and reveal it. It's called a drive check. You check for a trigger. We'll go over triggers as triggers come in battle. Also, you can't guard with anything with a grade higher than the Vanguard.
You can only guard with anything a grade equal to or less than your Vanguard.
And since that's all I can do, I leave it over to my opponent.
I stand and draw. My Vanguard has a skill. I search the top 5 cards of my deck.
Oh, what he's actually doing is actually called a ride chain.
I look for Goddess of Full Moon, but
Half moon.
Half Moon, but I don't have. But I didn't find anything. I will attack your Vanguard for 7.
Now, as you saw, since he didn't have a grade 2, he could not ride, and you don't have to ride every turn.
Because this ability is an automatic ability, which means each time I start my turn, I have to do this. So you can use that to your advantage by if you want to get the next card that this requires, you don't necessarily have to ride that turn.
Okay. Now, you don't have to guard. That is a possibility. So I'm not going to guard.
Okay, I perform a drive check.
Now, as you can see, as there is a trigger zone on my mat, no one uses it. So
I mean, I've seen tournaments.
You're supposed to flip over a card and place it in the trigger zone, but I've never seen anyone really use it other than a game.
I've watched tournaments, like actual official tournaments, and they're supposed to be going by official rules, and they don't even use it. So I'm not going to use it.
Okay, now I take the top card for damage, and you do the same thing, except instead of going to your hand, it goes into what you call the damage zone. When you or your opponent receive 6 damage, the match is over. Damage check. Now I drawn one of the first of 4 triggers. I drew a stand trigger. This allows me to stand 1 unit and give either the same unit or another unit plus 5,000 until the end of the turn. So I will stand Lou and give Marin, my Vanguard, 5,000.
That's all I can do, so I end my turn.
Now, with the beginning of the turn, I stand and draw. I ride Zugel Liberator. I call Liberator of the Flute Escrad. Now what I like to do is that I like to attack with my Vanguard if I only have 1 rearguard attack with. So if my attack doesn't go through, I'm able to give the points to my rearguard. So I boost with Lou. My Zugel Liberator will come at his Vanguard. My Zugel Liberator has an ability. Since I got 3 or more other rear guards with Liberator in its name, it gains an extra 3k until the end of the turn. So that would be 17 to his Vanguard.
Now what he's doing is that's his preference. That's the way he plays. You don't have to. I mean, that's just the way he decides. Okay, you said 17?
Mm-hmm.
I guard for 22.
Okay. Drive trigger check. Now I boost with Wingull Liberator. A Scrad comes into your Vanguard. Vanguard for 14,000.
Well,
If we say 14, every card is in the thousands. So
I want to note I cannot guard, so I have no choice but to say no guard. Damage check.
now a Scrad skill. My Scrad actually has a ability. When an attack hits my Vanguard, I counterblast 1.
Wait, your
And
Vanguard.
sorry, attack hits your Vanguard, my opponent's Vanguard. I don't know why I said mine. I counterblast 1. Now, only a few sets of cards have this, but when you counterblast 1, you can flip over any. But this one, I have to counterblast 1 with Liberator in its name. Now, I take, and if I have a Gold Paladin Vanguard, I pay the cost. I look at the top card of my deck and search for 1 Gold Paladin and call it to open rear guard. And unless it says, I put it in the stand position. So I call Elixir Liberator, which this is another one of the 4. It's a heal trigger. During drive trigger or damage trigger check, when you reveal this, you take 1 card. If you have equal or more damage than your opponent, you take 1 card from your damage and put it into the drop zone. You also can give 5,000 to one. You give 5,000 to one of your units, but this only works
During a drive check
or damage, and if you have more equal to or more.
So in this case, it doesn't count because he's calling it.
So I superior call. I put it in the back row because I cannot attack with the level. So unfortunately, I got nothing left, so I end my turn.
Stand and draw. I call. Victory Maker gives support. I attack your Vanguard for 12,000.
No guard.
Drive check.
Damage trigger check. Now, one thing about grade 2s I forgot to mention is that they have something called intercepts. Only grade 2s have them. What that means is that if I chose to, I could move my unit into the guardian circle, and it intercepts. Few cards have an ability where when you put it into the guardian circle from intercepting, it can gain 5,000, but there's only a few rare cards from each clan.
And that's it. I end my turn.
I stand and draw. I ride Solitary Liberator Gancelot. I'll go over one of his abilities. It's the ability when time comes. And then I also call Blaster Blade Liberator. Now, since I have a full set, what I like to do is I like to attack with one of my rear guards. So if I pull a stand trigger, I can add it to my. I can make that card stand. So that's 14 Vanguard.
No guard. Damage.
Support of Lou. Solitary Liberator comes at your Vanguard. Now Lou's ability kicks in. Since it's boosting a Gold Paladin, and I have 3 or more other Liberators in the rear guard, the boosted gains an extra 4,000. Ganslot's skill, when it's attacking a Vanguard, it gains, and it is a Vanguard, it gains plus 2,000. Now on the card, there is a V and R. Some of them have V and R. Some has V or R. V stands for Vanguard, and R stands for Rear Guard, which means you can only activate those abilities when they're in those specific spots.
Unless it says V/R, then it means either or.
Now let's see. That's 8. This is 12, 23 Vanguard.
No guard.
Now the grade 3s have a special ability when you do a drive check. It's called Twin Drive. What that means is that instead of doing a single drive check, you do 2 of them. Like so. Twin Drive. First check. And second check.
Damage.
Support of Wingull Liberator. Its grad comes in for 14.
No guard. Damage.
And I leave it to you.
Oh wait.
It has to be an open rear guard.
But it's auto though.
That's if I pay the. So.
But it automatically activates. Or whatever. Stand and draw.
Trust me, the Vanguard fights we normally have are not this boring.
No, they're not. I ride Security Guardian. Call Security Guardian. Support. I attack your Vanguard. 13,000.
No guard.
Drive check. Okay, this is the next one. This is a critical trigger. What that means is, for this effect, I'm giving the critical to my Vanguard and the 5,000. You can give your Vanguard a critical, and you can give your Vanguard or another unit 5,000. So I'm giving the critical to my Vanguard and 5,000 to my
what
rear
is
guard.
a critical?
That is the damage you do. So right now I have 1. I always do one damage. But now, because of this critical trigger, I do 2 damage. And then I'm giving the 5,000 to my rear guard.
Okay, so now, instead of taking 1 damage... Did we go over stand triggers?
Yeah, because you had gotten 1 when you had just... So
I got a stand trigger. I give the 5,000 to my Vanguard, and I have Blaster Blade stand. Now, since that was a critical trigger, I check another one. Speaking of critical triggers, and so that's what a critical trigger looks like.
So in his case, well, I mean, it's a critical trigger, so unfortunately he has to give it to somewhere, but
I'll give full effects to my Vanguard.
I have my rearguard security guardian attack his blaster blade liberator for 13.
No guard.
And I end my turn.
When a card gets retired, you take it from the rear guard to the drop zone. Your Vanguard is the only one that does not get retired. It's indestructible until you reach 6 damage.
No, it's basically the only unit that cannot be retired is your Vanguard anytime. All it does is take damage. That's it. All your rear guards are,
I stand and draw. Now let me explain Ganslot's ability. Each clan has some cards like that, like this. Now, I bring out Liberator of the Round Table Alfred, and I Break Ride. What a Break Ride is that if you have 4 or more damage, you and the same unit and the same clan rides the card that has the skill. Every one of them has a plus 10,000 to the Vanguard. And then depending on the skill, it has different effects. Now mine has a plus 5,000 to 3 rear guards. 3 of my rear guards. Now, people might say that Ganslot actually has the most overpowered break ride because you don't have to pay the cost. Most of the other break rides, you have to pay a cost in some way, shape, or form. Oh, also, all the cards that are beneath the Vanguard are called the Soul. Now, Alfred has a total of 21k right now, and I give a Scrag, Wingull, and Future Liberator plus 5,000. I call. Oh, hold on. And now I activate Alfred's Counterblast. I flip 2 with Liberator in its name in the damage zone. And I look at the top card of my deck and choose up to 1 Gold Paladin from them, and I superior call. I superior call Liberator of Hope, Epwana. Now, since I have 4 damage, I can activate what's known as a Limit Break, which gives Limit Breaks can only be activated with 4 damage. So now Alfred gains plus 2k, 2,000 for each rear guard each rear guard that has Liberator in its name. So that's another 10,000. So that's 31 on its own without boosting. With the support of Elixir, Epwana comes in for 10.
No guard. Damage. This is the last trigger that we have to talk about. And it looks like that. It is what's called a draw trigger. What a draw trigger does, I am allowed to give 5,000 to any unit I choose. I choose my Vanguard, and I draw a card.
Now with the support of Lou, Alfred comes in. So let's see, that's, what does it say, 31?
That was 31 right now on its own.
31. Then plus with
That's
Lou's
11.
skill, that's an extra.
Well, right before the skill, it's 11 because you gave him 5.
Oh, 5.
So that's 11 right now.
11.
Plus his skill.
Plus his skill, which gives an extra 4.
So that's 15.
That's 15.
Plus 31 is 3, 4. Oh god, that's 40. 46,000.
46,000 to his Vanguard.
I will have Security Guardian Guard. This is a special interceptor. This one he was talking about before. This gains plus 5, so that's 10. So that's 23, 33, 43.
And you're still short.
48.
And you can put as many guards down as you want.
That's 48,000.
Twin drive. Burst check. Critical trigger.
Let's see. You're at 40.
I'm at 46.
Yeah, you needed 1.
Full effects to Alfred. And second check. Now the only thing will save him is if he could pull 2 heal triggers, which is rare.
First check, critical trigger, 5,000.
Actually, and that's game.
That's game
for this. No. And that's game. So Gold Paladins win 4-6. So I hope you understand the rules. Any abilities any cards have are on the card. So I hope you understood the rules, and I hope you enjoy playing Cardfight Vanguard. Thanks for watching,
and goodbye, everybody.